But before we do that, I'm going to stamp and emboss the sentiment on this piece of red. I'm just going to use this piece of paper that I was coloring on. Now, I didn't have any bleed through. I always color on a scrap of paper just at the off chance that some of that ink bleeds through. Better to do it on a piece of paper, because sometimes if you do it on like a slick surface and then move your paper and you're, say, coloring with a lighter color, sometimes you can actually transfer that color up. So better to do it on something that you can see, a porous surface that that you can see where the different blotches of color are, and then make sure to not shift your image while you're coloring so that you don't pull up a color that you don't really want. All right, so we put that embossing ink on there. That's going to hold that embossing powder while we melt it. Put the excess back in there, and I'm using white powder because I want it to show up really well on that red. If you happen to have any, there's my brush. If you happen to have any dots of embossing that aren't stuck to the stamped image, brush them off before you emboss them, because if you emboss it while it's there, it's just going to melt into the paper. There we go, all melted. So it's really fun to watch embossing powder melt, because it just goes from being granular and lumpy and kind of matte looking to glossy, and you can just watch it melt. It's one of those things that kind of has a little bit of a wow factor to it. Looks like magic, and it's something I love doing with kids, because obviously you want to do it with supervision because you're using a heat gun and it gets warm, and you don't want anyone to misuse it. But it's, like I said, it's got a bit of a wow factor to it. All right, now I'm going to glue this to my little gold scrap. These are both scraps that I'm using. This is actually, that back part of it has a barcode. No reason you can't use it. Once it's on here, no one would ever know, and you might as well use up the scrap, right? So to glue that on there, I'm just going to use some double-sided tape. But this way it'll be ready when we're putting our card together. And I have a little mini trimmer for cutting these small little things. I find it quite handy, especially for just the small items. But you could certainly use a bigger trimmer to do this. There we go. There we go. That is ready. I'll see you in the next video, and we'll start assembly.